For about the last 5 years, I have been carrying the same handgun, and that's kind of why I've never really done a lot of different EDC update videos. I know a lot of my friends on YouTube, on their various different channels, will dive into how their EDC changes over the years, heck, even sometimes season to season. But what I've kind of created here is a system for carrying my handgun that really doesn't have to change much with the seasons, time of year, or what I'm wearing. I mean, I do adapt to various different situations, but either way, it's very consistent. So what I'm going to do is run you through what handgun I carry, how it's modified, and then kind of the whys behind it. So as you can tell from the table here, I carry a Glock 19. And besides the sights, actually the sights on this one are steel Glock sights, so they're factory. But besides the Cerakote, there's nothing else done to this gun. I've been carrying a stock Glock 19 for 4 or 5 years, and this pistol to me just fits really well. I am running an Enforce APL. This is one of the originals from way back, and it's just worked really well for me. It's not a huge output light. I like how the paddles are laid out. I'd say there's probably some other lights on the market that definitely kick this thing's butt as far as lumens, maybe even rigidity or durability over time, but this light hasn't failed me. There's no cracking or anything. Takes a CR123 battery. Works out really well for me. So why am I shooting a stock Glock? Well, the reason why is at the very beginning, I noticed a lot of my friends getting into shooting and they just decked out their handguns trying to shoot better, shoot faster, shoot more accurately. And I noticed that no matter how you modified your pistol, if you have bad fundamentals, you are just gonna not shoot good. It's just what it is. So I decided early on that I wasn't gonna heavily modify a pistol. I wanted to get to a point where I felt that I was above average, kind of moving into the realm of being a professional shooter. Not saying a professional competitive shooter, not saying you know, the best of the best, but above average with the skill set. So I knew I had a good foundation before I invested in something like a red dot, before I got stippling, a trigger, or any of the other stuff. And while I've got a lot of time shooting those kinds of things, and they definitely help if you have a good foundation, I fell in love with the Glock 19, and I really haven't had any reason to change it. So that's why it's bone stock. Definitely not bashing people that decide to deck out their handgun, but for me, the most important thing was having a really good foundation. The 19 to me is the perfect size. I know some folks, a double stack of this size is going to be a little bit big in their opinion. And depending on your body type and how you're built and the kind of clothes you wear, yeah, this might be a pretty large pistol, but it's a little bit smaller than a Glock 17, a little bit bigger than a Glock 26. To me, I can get my whole hand on the gun. I don't have any pinky or any fingers hanging off the bottom, so it's just the perfect fit. I've got a lot of area there to get meat of my hand into to get a good grip. You know, the controls of the light are right there, so hitting the paddle with either finger, very easy. Manipulating the slide, all of the manual of arms for this thing is very easy because it's a larger pistol. And some folks get trapped on the idea that you have to have such a tiny pistol to conceal it well, and ultimately it just comes down to your body type and how you want to carry it, and then carrying with a good holster. So for me, this just disappears on my body. We're obviously in winter weather right now, so I'm wearing hoodies and jackets and things like that. So concealing this is very easy. How I end up carrying this particular gun is with my T-Rex Arms sidecar holster. And this is a phenomenal holster. It's worked really well for me. I've also run some holsters from Tier 1 Concealed and a couple other companies, but I always have come back to the sidecar. It is rigid, and for some folks, they're not gonna like this particular holster, but it is light bearing, cut for an optic, and I get to have my spare magazine just like that in the holster. And I'll actually put this on for you guys. So my morning routine just consists of me getting up, put my pants on, and then that holster just rides right like that. So again, with a hoodie on, you have no idea that I have a Glock 19, very accessible. Appendix is kind of one of those things that some people love, some people hate. People that have never done it are kind of like, why would you want to do that? You're pointing guns at things you don't want to shoot. We can dive into that in another video, but Appendix Carry is a very viable option if you want to have a larger gun, not print as much as say a 4 o'clock carry, and have a spare magazine on hand. Now there's times that I don't really want to have an appendix rig. Say I'm sitting a lot, or I'm dressed up, maybe my clothes that I'm wearing don't really work out well with an appendix rig. So what I end up doing is running one of the T-Rex Arms Raptor holsters. This is also an appendix, mostly an appendix rig, I'll say, but it can also, if you pull the claw, you can put it at 4 o'clock, and you can put it at a couple different locations if you want. And so same exact thing, light bearing for my Enforce APL. I also use this with my Glock 22, but yeah, I just slide it in just like that. So now you'll notice that I wouldn't have a spare magazine in this situation, but I would. In this configuration, I use my Neomag, which just clips onto a factory Glock magazine, and then you slide that clip in any pocket, back pocket, front pocket, doesn't matter. If you're like Pat McNamara, you'll carry it in your back pocket. Most people put it in their front pocket, and then you have a spare magazine on hand. So doing reloads with a Neomag is very intuitive, definitely a little slower for me personally versus an appendix rig. But if I need to move around a lot, but I still want to have an appendix carry holster, this particular holster gives me a little bit more movement. The gun can kind of move to where it needs to go, and I have a little bit more comfort. Again, I still prefer the sidecar holster, but I do run that occasionally as well. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys a little bit about is when I'm on the range training with an outside the waistband setup, what am I doing? And now typically I'm going to train from IWB. The reason for that is I feel like that's the most likely scenario for me as a citizen if I need to use my gun to defend myself. However, I think it's also important for citizens to have gear and accessories that would lend themselves more to a combatives training, or at least building fundamentals with OWB gear that in the event that there's civil unrest or a situation that calls for it, we have the equipment and the gear to be able to help out where we can. I did a whole video on this. I'm going to put a card at the top where I talk about this belt setup from Blue Alpha Gear. But real quickly, I'll just talk about the holster. This is a T-Rex Arms Ragnarok, and I have this on a QLS fork and receiver from Safariland. So I have a couple different holsters. Sometimes we shoot our Zev pistols suppressed, and I'll use one of the T-Rex Arms suppressor ready holsters for our Zev pistols, where I'll also shoot with my Glock 22 without a light, so sometimes I'll slap that in there. That's a Safariland. This is a Safariland mid-ride UBL, so that all just clips in like that, and then I do have the thigh strap that keeps everything kind of snug on my body. As far as magazines, I just use the T-Rex Arms little mag caddy there, and these are just an off-brand magazine carrier that I had over the years I've collected. I also use Mars carriers for my pistol mags as well. But I keep my loadout very simple, and I actually do keep this particular setup with me in my truck, as well as a plate carrier, medical stuff. Again, very unlikely that I'll need it as a citizen, but it's one of those things that I like to train with it, and I like to get out and use it. So above all else, I think the Glock 19 is a great compromise for me. It's worked out well for me over the last couple years. It's a phenomenal pistol. I barely ever need to clean this thing. In fact, it is crusty right now, but it still runs reliable. I did the Cerakote job myself because, looking good is half the battle, but it's a phenomenal pistol. And if you're into handguns, just getting into them, I know some people don't like Glocks because they're boxy, but if you hold one and it feels good, get out and shoot it, you may love it. Maybe you'll hate it. There's plenty of other pistols out on the market. But hopefully this helped you guys out. Hopefully it gives you some ideas on how to carry your pistol. And I know most of you probably aren't really that interested in how I carry a gun, but if you are, that's how I do it. So guys, thank you for tuning into this video. And if it helps you out, leave us a comment below. Definitely tag some buddies, or maybe share some info in the comment section with different ways that you have found maybe different holster configurations or different pistols that you've shot. Let's get in the comments and discuss this stuff, because our goal here is to help new shooters, arm them with information so that they can be better prepared to protect themselves, their families, and their communities. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one.